What's going on? I'm Cousin Marcus and I'm a comic book fan, primarily Marvel Comics. I do dabble in DC Comics, primarily Batman. Yes, I'm one of those people, but for the most part, I'm a Marvel dude. I got some long form content that I want to do. It'll probably take me like 1,000 years because I have no experience doing video editing. But while I'm putting that together, I want to talk about current happenings in the Marvel world. And one of the best ways I feel like I can go about it is looking at my pull list. So that's what I'm gonna do. Go over my pull list, give you some insight into why I'm pulling it, little mini reviews, and you'll get a greater perspective on my history with certain characters and certain creators. Sound all right? All right, let's get into it. All right, we're gonna start on the non-Marvel side of things first. First, from Image Comics, Kill Your Darlings. It's written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan, art by Bob Quinn. This is a great entry level series for somebody who likes fantasy and sci-fi type elements without it being tied to continuity or the big two, Batman, Spider-Man, yada yada yada. It's about a young girl named Rose who has a very bright imagination that causes great tragedy in her life and may be connected to some tragic events in the far distant past. Great art, great writing. This is like one of the 5 best series that I'm pulling right now. Batman City of Madness, written and completely illustrated by Christian Ward. City of Madness is a 3-issue Black Label miniseries. I initially thought Black Label just meant it was more thematically mature, which isn't exactly wrong, but it also means that it's a supersized comic book and it's like $8, which is nothing wrong with that because this will be like one of the most visually brilliant comics in your entire collection. The level of creativity and ambition and Christian Ward's framing and his coloring is just breathtaking. It's one of the most beautiful comics I've ever seen after one issue. Also, the story is super interesting and it involves the Porter Owls, which is my favorite Batman story ever. Outsiders, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig, art by Robert Carey. I'm a big fan of the Captain America run that Kelly and Lanzig did, and I like titles with this kind of simple premise. Take a few B and C list characters, put them in a group together, have them investigate stuff. I like the creative team, I like the concept, it's an easy pull. Batman Offworld, written by Jason Aaron, art by Doug Mahnke. Jason Aaron pretty much did everything you can do at Marvel. It's highlighted by his epic Thor run. Started with the God Butcher, went to Jane Foster Thor, then it ended with War of the Realms. Now he moved over to DC, and he's starting with the big dog Batman. Offworld is a 6-issue miniseries about a younger Batman going to space to fight aliens. Aaron is the perfect writer for this type of story. Art is really good. Issue 1 was great. We in for a banger. Now we on to the Marvel stuff. I'll start off with Venom, currently being written by Al Ewing and Torun Grønbekk, art by Julius Oda and Kafu. The 5-star Donny Cates run on Venom actually made me a fan of Venom and got me invested in Eddie, Dylan, and the symbiotes as a whole. He couldn't have handed it off to a better writer because Al Ewing is probably the best writer at Marvel right now, with all due respect to Jonathan Hickman, my goal. This run started off real rocky for various reasons. I'll dive into them in another video, but for the last 10 or so issues, it's reaching a pretty high level and becoming a worthy successor to the Cates run. Blade, written by Brian Edward Hill, art by Elena Casagrande. I looked it up, and Blade hasn't had an ongoing series since 2009, which is crazy. That's crazy. I haven't read Blade in anything since Al Ewing's Mighty Avengers around March 2012, 2013, the Marvel Now era. But after becoming an Avenger and the Jason Aaron run, he finally back on the shelves with an ongoing, and I want to support Uncle Eric, one of the OG black characters in my life. Immortal Thor, written by Al Ewing, art by Martin Ciccolo. Apologies to that person if I mispronounced their name. I told you already, Al Ewing holds the crown as top writer at Marvel right now, so he's an auto pull. If his name is on it, I'm buying it, no hesitation. Immortal Hulk was a landmark series for Ewing's career, the Hulk character, and just for Marvel as a whole. So Ewing writing another series with the word immortal in it, for one of my 2 favorite Avengers, is a no-brainer. It's auto pull, and we're 4 issues in. It's living up to my expectations. You should be reading Immortal Hulk. Luke Cage Gang War by Rodney Barnes and Ramon Box. Marvel has developed a weird trend where they set up certain status quos and they big events and then don't follow up on them. Luke Cage becoming mayor of New York after Devil's Reign is one of those status quos that absolutely deserve the title. Like, Luke has gone from criminal to superhero to hero for hire to Avenger to mayor, and he doesn't have a title. That's ridiculous. It's outrageous. Well, we got a 4-issue miniseries. It's a tie-in to the Spider-Man gang war storyline. I'm not really interested in the event as a whole or the current run of Spider-Man, because everything I hear about it is awful, even though Pete is one of my 3 or 4 favorite characters ever. But I am going to follow Luke Cage getting back in the streets in the midst of war. Miles Morales Spider-Man is being written by Cody Ziegler, art by Federico Vicentini. Miles is my nephew. He's all of our nephews. He deserves our support. I'm saying this as a huge hypocrite because I haven't followed a Miles comic since 2016 during Civil War II when Bendis was still writing. And that's a little misleading because I dropped off of comics in general for a bunch of other reasons. It had nothing to do with my personal enjoyment of comics. It was just some things going on. Anyway, Miles is awesome. He's one of my people, one of my favorite characters, and he deserves my support. And what I read about this current run by Cody Ziegler has been real good, and I'm fully on board. Gods by Jonathan Hickman, art by Valerio Schiti. I got into comics around 2011, 2012, fully immersed in the world of comic books around that time. This is during the time of Marvel Now and the New 52. The MCU Avengers was blowing up, so I started reading Avengers and New Avengers, which of course was being written by Jonathan Hickman. That run, of course, led to Secret Wars, blew my entire mind, and he's been my favorite writer ever since. Especially when I went back and I read Secret Warriors, Fantastic Four, his stuff in the Ultimate Universe. Hickman is always auto-pull. He'll be auto-pull forever. Marvel's Cosmic Pantheon isn't the biggest draw to me, but Hickman reordering the Cosmic Pantheon, giving it some type of clear direction that it hasn't had in a long time, it's a no-brainer. 2 issues in, he's introducing us to new characters, new concepts, and folding them into the concepts that we already know, like In-Betweener and Lord Chaos and those type of... It's an auto-pull. It's Hickman doing big Hickman stuff. Avengers Inc. It's written by Al Ewing, art by Leonard Kirk. Again, Al Ewing is top dog. He's an auto-pull right now. He's mostly submitted his name with works that's deeply rooted in the cosmos and otherworldly concepts, titles like Ultimates and Immortal Hulk. And even right now, he's writing X-Men Red, Venom, and Immortal Thor. They all have roots in the cosmos, space, cosmic concepts. And then there's Avengers Inc., which is about founding Avenger Wasp, teaming with a resurrected villain who was claiming that he's a version of the Vision's alter ego. Crazy concept. It's more so like an odd couple mystery procedural. It's just really creative. It's funny. It's interesting. The art is really good. Ewing can do no wrong right now. Black Panther, written by Eve L. Ewing. Art is currently by Chris Allen and Matt Chatter. Apologies to that person if I mispronounced their name. I mentioned this earlier, but I stopped reading comics. On an ongoing basis from 2016 to 2022. I would still pop my head in here and there on some bigger events and stuff like that, but as far as my consistent reading go, it was pretty much put on hold. My local comic book shop got closed. Some of the illegal methods a person would use to read comics kind of dried up on me. I had things going on in my personal life that just made it so I couldn't invest more time in comic reading, so I just kind of tossed it away for a while, but got back around 2022 playing catch up with a lot of stuff. And so the last time I read, to me, that New Avengers run counts as a run for T'Challa, the Hickman New Avengers, and I read some of the Ta-Nehisi Coates run, but not a lot. I read 4 or 5 issues of it, so I haven't read the intergalactic part of it. Haven't read any of the John Ridley run. But I'm back following the King, one of my favorite characters. He's not the king of Wakanda anymore, but Matter of fact, he's on the streets of Wakanda, getting in the mud, and it's an interesting take on T'Challa. I got a recap video planned for this run, and I'm excited to see where it's going. We only on issue 6, I believe. Yeah, issue 6 was last month, so issue 7 this month. So, yeah. Carnage, written by Torun Grønbekk and art by Pere Perez. Apologies to that person if I mispronounced their name. Carnage was never as cool to me as Venom was. He was just like a crazier red Venom. But shout out to Donny Cates for actually making me invested in the world of the symbiotes. Since Absolute Carnage, Carnage has been amassing a crazy amount of power all through this world and other worlds, and we're clearly building towards like a God Carnage versus King and Black Venom story, some type of massive clash between the two, and I'm on board for it. Issue 1 was not what I expected at all, but it was still good, so I'm on board. Let's go. Thanos, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Luca Mazzari. Thanos is an awesome villain, but he's not like an auto pull for me at all. The Solicit is what made it an auto pull. It was about Thanos coming back to Earth, and he's looking for something, and a new Illuminati has to form to stop him. I already told you that Hickman New Avengers run, best run ever to me. So the Illuminati plus Thanos looking for something. We all know about Infinity and how Thanos was incorporated in that New Avengers run. It sets off all the bells for me, and I gotta pull it. Plus, I like Christopher Cantwell's writing. I really like his Doctor Doom miniseries, and I like his Iron Man run. So, yeah, I'm definitely pulling this. Plus, we know who the new Illuminati is through this beautiful variant cover. So we got Tony, Doc, and Reed coming back, and our two new additions, that are awesome. Blue Marvel, he more than deserves to be a part of the Illuminati. And Emma Frost, the unofficial Queen of Krakoa, Auntie. What more can you ask for, man? The first issue had a perspective that I wasn't expecting on it, but I like it, and I want to see where it goes. X-Men Red. It's written by Al Ewing, art by Yildiray Cinar. Apologies to that person if I mispronounced their name. X-Men Red has been the second best series at Marvel since it started. It's arguably the best series. One of the best series in Marvel in general, one of the best series that I ever read, one of the best series of the Krakoa era. Al Ewing has just written this, just an epic story about the violent, war-born race of the Iraqi mutants being granted their own planet, and how them, along with some familiar Krakoans like Storm, Magneto, Vulcan, Sunspot, how they deal with various forces attempting to colonize, control, and attack Arakko. So from Abigail Brand's plotting to the Hour of Magneto to this current Genesis War, it's just been an awesome series. It ends literally this week. It's been 5 stars from start to finish. X-Men Red, man, you should have been reading this, and it's just excellent. Finally, last but most to me, is Immortal X-Men by Kieran Gillen. Art has been primarily by Lucas Werneck. This has been the best title at Marvel. It's been neck and neck with X-Men Red since they both launched. But the thing that gives Immortal the edge is the fact that Immortal is actually about Krakoa. It's more of a driving force to the entire Krakoa narrative. X-Men Red is like literally about what's happening on another planet. So the stakes just aren't quite the same, even though the quality is right there. Immortal X-Men has followed this flawed Quiet Council, which is the government for Krakoa, the mutant nation of Krakoa, that has just been fundamentally broken since the events of Inferno. Sinister has finally made his big villainous move that's been teased since House of X Powers of 10. It finally happens. It happens in a major nation-shifting way. I love how Mystique and Destiny's tragic romance has been integrated into the plot. The comedic moments have been perfectly timed. The narrative has been exceptional, especially in the Fall of X, and the cliffhangers has been some of the best in any series that I've ever read. The reveal of where all the lost mutants have been since the Hellfire Gala was like, Gillen has been A plus, 10 out of 10. Immortal X-Men, the X-Men Red, both 5-star series. Two best series at Marvel, the two best series of the Krakoa era. You should be reading this. You should be pulling it. And that's it. That's my pull list. Like I said, I got more content coming. Some long form stuff, some short form stuff, some in between stuff. I don't do the video editing well, so everything is gonna take 1,000 years. But fuck with me. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. It's Cousin Marcus, man. I'll holler at y'all.